Alright guys, so we're gonna start this second wiring video off, and I did get all these holes all cleaned up, die grinder, and took to them. So first thing we're gonna start is putting a new set of ends on the fan before we get it mounted. I got this kit here which makes it so you can make your own weather tight connectors. So we'll crimp some of these on here so we can get a set of wires made up for this and get this thing all mounted in there. Obviously, once everything's completely done, I'll go through here and paint this stuff, but honestly, let's just get everything fit and working, and then we can worry about the cosmetic. So get these crimped up now. You want to strip it out, then slide this piece, this little yellow piece on there, and then once you got that around your wire here, you pick your right connector, and you want to get that yellow seal piece in your first little crimp spot. That way it'll be held down on there. So the little needle ones, so you got obviously like your male here, just a small little needle looking thing. Then you have like a female that obviously goes into. Simple as that. Definitely a little bit of a learning curve on those things, but overall not terrible. I think I think the key is just, if you think you got it pushed in far enough, you don't. Keep pushing it. So, now this will be made up, so put the fan in there, can just reach in there and plug that in. I'm gonna wait to wrap this thing in some sheathing until I do know which way is forward and reverse. So get this mounted to this plate and we'll get it put in the unit. Alright, that's kind of how that is there. I'm going to plug this in. This is obviously just kind of sitting in here. But we'll plug this fan in just like a battery here. Make sure we got it going the right way. Now we at least know which one's which. This thing's pretty loud, so I have a feeling I'm going to set the thermostat to be a little high so that way it's not just constantly running. I mean, I think if it's at 100 and say 20 degrees, if it gets that warm and kicks on to cool it off, that should be probably plenty. Alright, so I got these fan wires routed down here and the ground's hooked up. Now I've got a if you remember that, if you watched the other video, I got a relay in here. So the relay's gonna be fed off this. So we'll have a switch to turn power on to send down here. And then as this meets temperature, it'll click on send power to the relay, which will send power to the fan. Which so now the fan's in. We're gonna get this connector, all this on here, and then that'll be done, and then we can work on something else. But sometimes you gotta go to the extreme. So that wire there is gonna be our switch leg going up for our fan, and we already have the switch leg for the lights. the other light wires up there, and I think that's going to be our 4, because we'll have our horn up there as well. So that'll be it. So I can wrap these up and they should be all ready to go. So we got those up there. I think next thing I'm gonna probably do is get this light hooked up here. Well, I did finally get this thing done. My camera died, of course, but I end up probably taping this up a little bit anyway. But so got that hooked up tonight. Got these ran up in here. So now really what I got left to do with this before I can finally put this back on is just wire up all my actual switches here. So I'm going to get all my jumpers removed because I'm going to run the lights off of the 12 volt that already went up there, and then the switches will still be controlled off of everything normal. Then you'll obviously have this wire, this main feed wire here will get hooked up on the hot, and then this negative, I think I'm going to take it to a frame ground, probably even maybe the same one back here on the engine right there. So if I do that, the only reason I might do that, since this disconnect here runs by killing the ground from the battery, then if I flip this off, no matter what, I'm going to be turning all my added electronics on. It's kind of prevent have to worry about leaving anything on. You know, if you flip that switch, you're good. So that's it for tonight, and I'll get back with you guys the next day. I gotta work on this. Alright, another day, another thing we're working on. Okay, so this is the switch bank and everything here. So I have a little diagram I drew up to show you guys. I was gonna rewire all this, but really you can see on here, this is just a spade terminal, that's been had a heat shrink over it, and then so is this. So I'll show you the wiring diagram. And what it is you have your top two are grounds. One's for the big LED, so this LED here, and the other grounds for this LED here. Since all that stuff is not really super gonna draw a lot, we're just gonna run all these grounds. We can leave them alone. So what I'll end up doing is I'll take this wire here that's already got the spade terminal on it, I'll shrink it up, and then I'll just push it into here and then put a spade end on here and then plug that into everything. And then the same thing with the positive wire. So you have your middle plug is your positive for your light, for the big light, and then this one down here is positive for your negative light. So this is just your power to your accessory. So actually I'm going to have to redo that. So I'll have to, for this, I'll have to move these wires off, and this is where my feeds will go, and then this is where my all my switch legs will go. I'm 90% sure that's right, but I'll have to check it. But that's what makes sense to me, because I think the big light is telling you when it's actually on and when it's not. So I'll have to do a little digging into that. But really, if that's the case, then what I can probably do is the same thing either way, is just instead of redoing all this stuff, I can just, if I need to take my wire off here and put my switch leg here, I'll just pull these off and then move this one to here, and then this one to here, and then so on and so forth, and then just cut off the extra. So I'll figure that stuff out and let you know once I got it done. Alright, so I got what I'd say is a simple test. So right now we have the jumpers hooked in for this battery. We're going to go to the battery, and then we have the light hooked to the main ground, and then to the power to the accessory. So what we're doing first is just verifying this thing working. So, you know, we got all our lights on, so that's good, which it's new, so obviously it should. This thing has only got a white and a black. I just assumed the black is the ground, but really it's the positive. Okay, let's try that again. So actually I have it wired up correctly. Hook power to it. So yeah, so this is just proving a simple fact that the light switch works. So we're taking power all the way through all the wires, and we're coming out through here. The reason I'm doing this is because, disconnect it, is because we need to know whether or not this jumper here on this side's what feeds that light. And then so all we'd have to do is unplug it, right? So we'll unplug it. Good God. Okay, so now it's unplugged. And you know, these wires are all still connected, so that shouldn't affect anything. So we can now, if the light still comes on, then we know the bottom red wire is where we need to run our power to. So we still got all our lights on, still got power, and then if we flip the switch, nothing. and it's all hooked up still. Grounds to the hots to the switch, ground still connected. So that's what we need to do. We need to move all these off the top, and then what that does is just we're using the power that's running, basically would have ran the hour meter or the voltmeter to power just the lights on this stuff, nothing else. So that's what I'm gonna do next, and then I'll show you that, what it looks like. Now we just have the battery hooked up directly to these two on the switch, so your feed in and your feed out. We're not trying to light up any of these other LEDs. All we're trying to do is make sure we're getting power into the switch and out to the light. So it's all hooked up. Hit that, light turns on, light turns on. That's all we want. So that's all we need to do. Now we'll just get our other wires fed up there so we can plug them all in. And then this is what the jumpers turned out like. Like I said, just all I did was pull the connector down and cut this little end off, and then that just made that perfect. So really kind of nice. So yeah, we have our horn mounted and our momentary switch mounted, and then our feed will go right there on that top screw, and the ground will go down here to that. So that's that. I think I'm gonna get ready to try to slide this thing on and start making some of this up. Alright, I know I was gonna show you guys how you can easily make your own like battery crimp ends. So what I have is, this is the tool I was talking about. You just slide your piece in there right where you want it, then you can just take your wire in, shove it in there as far as you want it to go, have it sitting on something solid, and then just give it a whack. And there you go, you got a connector on there. We can put that on the battery. I'm going to end up putting another one on here to go on back where the disconnect ground is. So once I have all that done, should be able to tighten everything up, and I can show you guys the final product on the electrical. Alright, so I did get the wires all hooked up and ran, and I've got everything put in and hooked up. So I still have to tidy stuff up, but you know, we have the front light, let's say the headlights, fuses are in, got the terminal hooked up on the battery there, and then like I said, we tied the ground in right where the ground was. So got all that. Kind of can show you how it's working. So obviously battery switch is, if it's off and we turn the key on, we don't have anything, nothing's on. But now that the key's on, We'll flip this on. Everything lights up. Because these are all off the key. You know, the key still does the hydraulic cooler like it was doing before. So we flip this switch on. And we have all that. Now, these circuits are fed from down there. So, but like we flip this switch on, that turns on our whatever, our boom light. You can kind of see it there. That turns that on. Then this does the headlights, which really turned out pretty good. I mean, pretty bright for some cheapo lights. But see, you know, this is all, the grounds are tied in, so once you kill the switch, you turn everything off, which is pretty nice, because I'm probably going to make sure, you know, this is already on here, so you just, when you're done using it, turn the key off, turn the battery off. You don't have to worry about the battery getting drained down. So that's there. The third one here is for our fan ran off the thermostat. So I got a little way to show you that working. I'm gonna unplug this fan here, 'cause I'm tired of listening to it. Alright, so I got that fan unplugged. So we'll turn this on. You know, this is set right now to whatever, say probably about 100 degrees. This fan's not running, but it's turned on. It's got power. So we can warm this up. And then just like that, you can hear that fan on. It's running. And then if I was to turn this dial down to a lower temperature, okay, I think I got this on the wrong way. That thing really moves some air, so I'm hoping it kind of helps pull air through the engine bay. Just push the hot air out. I think it should, but you don't really know until you start trying. Especially that fan running and then this fan running. I don't think we'll have a problem keeping it cool. I still gotta screw this puppy down. Oh, and then I did add a horn. I'm not really sure if I showed it in the video, but I drilled a small hole right here and put a 1/4-inch nut and bolted the horn through. And I got this on Amazon. They had 2-pack, just a standard horn. And this is just the mounting bolt, and then it's just a positive and negative. It doesn't really matter which one's where, but $11 for 2 of them, so now I guess I have a spare, but I have that on a momentary, just a push button switch. So yeah, sometimes you're working on stuff, it's kind of nice to get someone's attention. So I kind of want to show you guys that this thing will shut off, but I guess I be patient. Alright, so my dumbass had these wires flip-flop. The power goes in the middle and the switch goes on the right hand side, so I just heated this up, so it should kick off here. But I think I have my fan wired possibly backwards, so So there you have it, you know. Cools off, shuts off. And then just like if I adjusted this temperature, so I want it to run, so right now say it's set to run at about, I don't know, 85, 90 degrees. If I move that down, so that basically just means it's going to want it to be cooled off, but I really think, honestly, I mean, like, probably like 100 degrees would probably be good, because this is going to end up going right, probably back in here. I'm not really quite sure. I'd like to get it somewhere near the engine itself, but also not right behind a fan or something. So we'll have to figure where that goes, and then get that all zip tied up. So I think that's what I'm going to do now, is just zip tie this stuff and try to get it cleaned up and looking a little bit better. And then I think I'm going to start getting stuff ready to go back together. I'm going to work on getting this piece mounted or something done with it. Get this other piece cut here. But yeah, so that's it. I mean, and that's the thing. If you left this switch on, say, then turn the key off, your key off's going to lose you all your bottom, but you're still going to have power here. And that's why I did switch that ground, because then all you got to do is flip that, now your light's off. No fear of a dead battery. So at the end of the day, no matter what, turn your switch off if you have it wired anything like this, and you'll be good to go. And I kind of think that's why they did do that. I really do think that's a smart thing, because even with the key, if you left it on, you could potentially have something running in there and it be drawing power. So it's good just to kill the battery and be done with it. So that's where we're at today, and just felt good to get this thing back on. I'm gonna get the arms back in it too and everything like that. But honestly, pretty happy with the lights on it. Like I said, I think I'm gonna put a light inside this piece here, just something. And even if it's just, oh, you have to put a fuse in it so you can run it, then that'd be fine too. But yeah, pretty happy with the way all that worked out. So alright, kind of got stuff tidied up in here a little bit better. Labeled my fuse box here, so that'll be nice there. It's all labeled. Also went ahead and put the labels that came with everything. You know, we got our spotlight, our normal lights, our fan, and then our horn, and then this is just a spare. So that's what we got there with that. So show you all that, and I'm just gonna screw that thing back down, and this will be done finally. But yeah, so I'm pretty happy with all that. Happy with these lights. I feel like they're gonna be plenty bright for what I need. They're also gonna be adjustable. You know, I can bend them, you know, if I want to shine more down or shine more out. Yeah, I mean, let me turn these garage lights off, and we'll kind of get a better representation of these. I mean, that's pretty bright. I mean, if it's pitch black out and that's all you got, I mean, it's this or that. So then you also have this light I'm not exactly thrilled about. I feel like it's probably equally as crappy as the one that was on it. So we'll see if we keep that or not. But yeah, I mean, pretty happy. I mean, that's that light, which I guess not terrible, but big difference there. I mean, compared to this, you're getting a little bit out of it, but nothing compared to that. So, alright, well, I'll get with you guys when I get a little more caught up on this. Alright, now we're going to be doing the thing I've probably been dreading, and I'm not quite sure why. We're going to cut this foot sheet, like where your feet would sit. That way we can slide this off as one piece, get to the battery box. So what I did is, you can't really see it, but I scribed the line with an awl. I just took this straight edge, clamped it down straight across, and made the mark. So now I'm just gonna cut this, and then we'll just have to pretty much work on putting everything back together. I got some D-rings and stuff I want to weld onto like the blade, and then maybe on somewhere onto the frame. That way if this thing got stuck, you'd have something to hook to too. So we'll get this thing cut up. Over here on this other side, this obviously isn't that big of a deal or that crucial, but just show that it's gonna all line up. Even though the holes might not. There's that. Well, obviously, I'm gonna wanna file and grind these ends down, but that's another day. So that'll go on there. This plate, here's the crucial one. I even marked this. I need to notch this out a little bit so that way that slides in there. Doesn't help that none of this stuff's fastened to anything. So yeah. I mean, really, it's not gonna be much different than where it was. Try to make all the holes line up the best I can. But yeah, so pretty happy with that, honestly. So the whole point is so that way whenever it's time to take the battery off, we can just take these two bolts out here. Then there will be one, whatever, right here, one down there. Then we can just pop this thing off. Yeah, so I'm really wanting to get this floor put on here and some of this stuff tidied up, so that way I can actually start working on some projects I want to use this for. It's really cold and winter out right now, but I have a little addition I want to put on my garage, and I'm going to use this thing to dig out some of the dirt, and that way I can put some gravel and stuff down. So kind of show you how it works and how it's supposed to be used. And then I also have the auger attachment for it, and I have other attachments. But if you're interested in seeing how the auger works and everything, leave a comment in the video, in the comment section. Let me know, because I'm probably going to make a video, but I'm not sure. If there's not much interest at all, then maybe I'll just do it without putting it on here. But so far the electrical is done and buttoned up, and now we still have some of the small little things, but I'm getting tired of working on this thing all the time. I want to use it a little bit, so see if there's any other improvements I need to make. But so far so good. I'm pretty happy with everything. The fan, my dumb butt had the wires on it wrong, so it was freaking going the other way like a ding dong. So I did get that working, and so that bad boy pulls some air. You can see it. Pull some air. The only thing is it's pretty close in there, so I think maybe I'll get a little chicken wire and put on there to keep anybody's fingers out of there, including my own. So the only other thing I kind of slipped my mind is I think I want to drain the gas out of this thing, because if Chinese gas is like Chinese oil, it's probably not very good. So that's probably going to be it for this video, guys. And I guess leave a comment, or don't. Like the video or don't. But it seems like I'm getting some good responses out of these, and I am trying to do this stuff to help people. And I also want to make a video and show you how easy it is to make your own pins for your buckets, greasable pins, with just standard tools that most people have in their shop. Just whether that's just a vise and a drill and then a tap. I think if you have a drill and drill bits, a vise, and a tap for your greaser, I'm 90% sure I can do it, and be a lot better to spend $6 on something instead of $35-40. So if you're interested in that, let me know, and I'll try to get this video put up here soon. But I do want to get some other stuff done. I have some stuff I want to weld into some new buckets and the D-rings and stuff on this, so maybe I can do that in the next video. So let me know what you guys think. But I'll see you on the next one.